The money that I collected is honorable that brought
Destiny of
Can
Nigeria.
you make some contribution to Nigerian peace?
Me, the
Yeah, you
thing
don't
is
say
that
this thing.
I want make all of now look into
But
this
there comes a
in
time
Nigeria.
when
And we
you're
want to
pushed to
take
the
steps
wall
every day to make this country a better
And
place.
the new Nigeria is that dream
Education's
that we
telling
so
them
much seek.
it's time to change.
All colors, shades, angles, and perspectives can be overwhelming in our present world of information overload. This is introducing Ground Zero. Ground Zero is a current affairs discussion phone-in program covering topical issues in the polity. The program is a platform for an in-depth analysis of trending issues by professionals, authorities in various fields, analysts, and key actors in the polity. Ground Zero gives the listener an opportunity to contribute to the discussion via phone call, SMS, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. From the conservatively serious to the ridiculously funny, Ground Zero accommodates them all. Professionals, urban contemporary businessmen and women, policymakers, public service workers, students, artisans, traders, and the in-between. Ground Zero comes up on Tuesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. and Saturdays 4 to 5 p.m. Ground Zero. This program is exclusive to Invicta 98.9 FM. Tune in.
It's another lovely Saturday evening right here in Kaduna, and it's time for the Never Dull Moment program on radio, Ground Zero. Ground Zero is a program that is designed to bring up topical issues in the polity, and with analysts, guests, and you, the listener, we rub minds and try to understand all of these issues. Today on the program, Ground Zero, we shall be looking at this very, very important issue that concerns everybody, most especially if you live in Kaduna State. Okay, yeah. On the program today, we'll be looking at local government reforms, the successes, challenges, and lessons learned. And this is a fallout from the presentation last week of the presentation that was made last week at the Ministry of Local Government Affairs in respect of the local government reforms, what has happened, and a paper, the report was presented actually last week, and we'll be looking at bits and pieces of that report, what it means, and of course sharing experiences from my guests that will be on the program today. And talking about guests already seated, I have Yusuf Ishaku Goje. He's the head leadership governance and advocacy of the Coalition of Association for Leadership, Peace, Empowerment, and Development, CALPED. He's already seated. And other guests on the program today would include two local government chairmen. That's Honorable Abubakar Buba, the executive chairman, Lere Local Government Area, and of course, Honorable Kafra Kaino, the executive chairman of Kajuru Local Government Area. Together on the program today, we'll be sharing experiences and trying to see how the people can be in touch with governance at the very, very lowest level. Meanwhile, you can be a part of the program by going to the Invicta FM social media platforms, starting from Twitter and Instagram at Invicta FM 989. At Invicta FM 989. And you can also go to the Facebook page of Invicta FM. That is at Invicta FM Kaduna. Invicta FM Kaduna, where you can watch the live presentation of this program and everything that we'll be doing on this program. You can view it live. And at some point in the course of the program, we'll open up the phone lines for people to contribute. Meanwhile, you can follow the program-specific Twitter handle at Ground Zero 247, Ground Zero 247. That's the program specific Twitter handle of Ground Zero. There we keep the conversation going even before and after the program. Before, during, and after the program, we can always chat and talk and discuss issues in respect of what we are doing on the program. You can also follow me. My personal Twitter handle is ehis_peacemaker. ehis_peacemaker. That's my personal Twitter handle. With all of this, we would always keep the communication channels open for us to discuss. Now, let me give you a little background on what we'll be talking about today and how it will touch you. Okay. Over the past 3 years, several reform initiatives are being implemented in the 23 local government areas of Kaduna State with the support of the Ministry of Local Government Affairs and Planning and Budget Commission. That's the Local Government Affairs and Planning and Budget Commission. These are two ministries, okay? Some of these reforms include the Local Government Reform Law 2018 and the Local Government Development Plans, Community Development Charter, and Local Government Fiscal Transparency, Accountability, and Sustainability Program lifters. All of these are things that have been ongoing for the past 3 years now. Only recently, there was a public presentation of the report of the Community Engagement Framework and Accountability Mechanism in 10 local government areas, and an initiative of the Ministry of Local Government Affairs, supported by PEL and civil society partners, which inaugurated technical working groups made up of 10 persons each from the government and civil society, who were trained towards ensuring increased community engagement and institutionalization of the ongoing governance reforms. As a result, more communities are now participating and making input into the local government budget. Some councils are providing more information on their budgets using the website and social media. Many of them have become more accountable. Today, we will be looking at the successes, challenges, and lessons learned from the lens of the leading champions of these reforms, that is the local government chairmen and civil society. You'll recall that 2 weeks ago, we brought in a representative of the Ministry of Local Government Affairs who also shared the perspective of the ministry, who are coordinators of the reform across the 23 local government areas of Kaduna State. Today, we shall be discussing with the chief executives of two of the local government council and a civil society member with us in the studio. Already seated, I have Yusuf Goje. Yusuf, you're welcome to Ground Zero.
It's my pleasure, Mr. His. Good evening, everyone.
All right. And like I told you, any moment from now, the local government chairmen of Lere local government area and Kajuru local government area will be joining us on the program, and together we'll all be discussing. But meanwhile, let's start with Yusuf Goje, who is already with us here in the studio. Yusuf, first I'd like to say congratulations for the report that was presented. That was that was last week actually at the Ministry of Local Government Affairs, and you were there. You were a key player, I would say, in all of that. And there's a public presentation of the report of the Community Engagement Framework and Accountability Mechanism in 10 local government areas.
Yeah.
So, Yusuf, I'll say, all right, we have the chairman of Lere local government area. He just stepped into the studio, and together we are going to be doing the program. So I want to welcome Honorable Abubakar Buba, the executive chairman of Lere local government area, to the program. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And before you came in, we have given an overview of what the program is going to be, and we are just coming to Yusuf Goje to first of all, after the presentation, what did it really mean to you as a civil society person? Let's start from there.
Okay, thank you for throwing the question at the civil society. Really, it is a huge step in deepening citizens' engagement at the local government level. Because, civil society, if there's anything we have advocated for a very long time, is more spaces for citizens to actually be part of decisions that are being taken on their behalf.
Yeah.
And we believe that with what has happened with the local government accountability mechanism, I think we have scored a very huge one, even though it is just the first step in a journey of many steps, because it is not only to develop reforms, it is not only to set up committees, but what we want to see is all these efforts and action really leading to improving the living standards of people, because that is the essence of governance as it is. So I think it is a right step because the mechanism intends to do two things. One is to open up more space for citizens' engagement, whereby there will be what we usually call permanent dialogue mechanism.
Yeah.
Civil society, whereby it's a platform where on a regular basis citizens and those in public office can continue to engage and discuss around the development of the local government. So that's one. Then secondly, it tends to be a platform that would support the local government institutionalize these reforms.
Okay.
Yeah, because one challenge we have had over the years is that we always have what is called a policy somersault. So when a government comes, it starts a policy. When it goes, the next government comes, instead of looking at, okay, what is the good, the bad, then throw away the bad and pick the good part. Most of the time, the good part becomes a victim, as they usually throw away the baby with the bad water. Yeah. So we want to see that where those reforms that are presently being undertaken are going to improve the quality of citizens' engagement, is going to improve service delivery, is going to improve their standard of living. We believe that regardless of any government that comes into power, those reforms should be sustained, because it's really about the people. It's not about politics. It's about development. So that is the second part that these reforms, the mechanism would address. And just as you have mentioned, we have the local government reform law, 2018. Yeah, and the law is, for me, a very, very huge step, because if you check, I think section 56 of that law, you see that it is mandating local governments to run participatory culture of governance at the local government level. Then if you go to section 72, it's also emphasizing the fact that local governments must consult with their citizens before taking the budget to the state houses of assembly. In fact, it even says that as long as those two things are not done, one, consultation, two, no evidence of citizens' input in the budget, that budget is null and void. Even if you carry it to the State House of Assembly, it's null and void. So it means that it is not only about policies, but we have laws that are really there to see that these policies are actually sustained. So it is, the only challenge now is that we have a lot of low level of awareness among people, among communities, so people don't even know about this reform. So with that law, it is easier to implement the local government development plan. It is easier to implement the community development charter needs. And just by way of information, with support of some development partners, we have also tracked this local government budget using what we call Citizens CDC Influence Tracker. That's what we call it. And the purpose is just at the end of every year's budget to come and look at the percentage of number of the CDC, which is what is being used to inform the budget by citizens. To see what is the percentage that inform the annual budget. So we tend to see the percentage per local government, and on average, you find out that we also have that. And on average, across the 23 local government, for the past 2 years, it has been at 50%. So it means that progress is being made. So it's not, these are things that are backed with facts. And evidence are there of communities that are doing these things, because as civil societies, we have what we call community development charter champions in the 255 wards of Kaduna State. So, and all of them have been trained to support the process. So these are things with evidence that we can say it is happening.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people just say these things are just stories, but we have evidence. So maybe lastly, so that I don't talk too much, is in the area of the performance. Because it is one thing for citizens' needs to get into the budget, it is another thing for it to be actually implemented. So we have looked at that, and our performance tracker, although it's not too impressive, and we have investigated to know why, and it's almost an issue of revenue. So, and until local governments look at ways of opening up their revenues, bringing in more funds, even if we continue to bring citizens' needs into the budget, it will change very little.
Yeah.
So these are areas that really we need to see that focus is being turned to around revenue.
All right, you just had that. Now let's come to Honorable Abubakar Buba, the Executive Chairman of Lere Local Government Area. Now, I was at that presentation of the Community Engagement Framework and Accountability Mechanism, and I know you were there on that day too. Now, first, what does that presentation mean to you? Let's start it from there.
Well, thank you so much. Like you said, definitely, governance at the moment has turned out to be what the citizens must be involved in, because nothing is left hidden to anybody anymore. As a result of that, first we will thank the Kaduna State government for opening up governance in the state, and now it's been cascaded down to the local government, because all the citizens live in the various local governments that are in the state. And we equally thank the development partners and the civil society organizations for coming up with a robust working plan for the implementation and sustainability of that will ensure that the people's voice is heard in the budget cycle of the 23 local government in Kaduna State. After the meeting of the day, the review showed us that really we are making a lot of progress within the shortest possible time that is available before us, because it simply means that, yes, the promise that the government has made, and then the promise that the civil society and development partners have made to work in synergy to ensure that there is an openness in governance in Kaduna State has come to stay. That one is a giant stride which must be applauded, and at the same time I believe everything has been set on the record, and things are moving excellently well as far as that issue is concerned. The only thing we'll see now is that the sustainability will definitely be there, and people should expect that, yes, their voices will be included in the budget, not just included, but will be implemented. It's all a win-win situation at the end of the day, because the most important thing is, by the time people are involved in the budget cycle and even the implementation of the budget itself, it simply means that there is full ownership of any project that will be done at the local government level, and this simply means that people will not allow that project to go bad, and there's going to be a kind of ownership of the project itself, because they've been part and parcel of it from the planning stage to the executing stage. So it simply means that, yes, people will own up to whatsoever it's given to them or taken to them, because it is their own product that has been refined, processed, and then taken back to them. So this is something that is very, very laudable, and as much as possible we will continue to ensure that we give all our support to this program, because definitely it has come to stay.
All right, thank you so much. Now, there are some specific areas that I'd like us to shed more light on, because all that we are talking about is how to improve governance at the very lowest level of governance. How would you say that some of these reforms have directly impacted on governance in your local government area?
Well, you see, this is a very good question, and I think the answer is at my fingertips at the moment. The reason why I said this is, you see, during our budget cycle of 2019, we held 3 town hall meetings before, in preparation of the budget itself, and at that point in time, the community development champions, chartered members were all fully involved, and all the stakeholders from the 11 wards that makes up the local government. It was their own view that was translated to the 2019 budget of the local government. The same thing with 2020 budget. And during the implementation process of the budget itself, people were directly involved, because I had some instances whereby you will see communities coming to ask. They want to know how much was budgeted for, and they want us to give them the plan of the work. You see, that is a very laudable one, and it simply means that even without we going to the system, or like for instance our works department going to say they are supervising the work, the communities are supervising the work on the behalf of the government and on behalf of themselves. You know, it simply means that now governance is becoming owned by the communities themselves. Everybody is becoming aware. By the time you give them the bill of quantity of the particular work, even if we are not there, they will ensure that yes, this is the amount of cement that is supposed to be put in such a project, and the likes. The few ones among the communities that have gone to school that can translate such information to practical aspects there, and they are so inquisitive to know. They want to know what belongs to them, so that the right thing will be done at the right time. So sincerely speaking, it's a very good and laudable one, and I think it has improved the cycle itself, and so far so very much okay.
All right. I am believing that Honorable Kafra would be with us any minute from now, because I know that these 2 local government areas, I would say, are examples that most other local government areas would want to look at. And because of that, we would like to also get their experiences, because all said and done, like I always say, all said and done is how we bring governance close to the citizens. And since these local government areas are involved in all of these, it would have been nice to also share his angle, to know if his experiences are in tandem with your own experiences. But well, we expect that Honorable Kafra Kano is going to be with us any minute from now. So we will be looking now at recently the Executive Council approved the Local Government Fiscal Transparency and Accountability and Sustainability, that's LIFTAS program grant, to the 23 local government areas. What's your take on this, and how are you satisfied with their performances so far?
Well, you see, it's very much correct. What the state government has done is something worth commendation, because it simply means that whatsoever you do, they are tracking your performance, and then at the end of the day, something will be given out as a reward towards doing what is right.
Yeah.
So this one is a very good one, and the result is out. We've seen the performances of the various local government within the state, and so far so good. It's a good one, and I just want to assure the citizens that whatsoever is given to us as a reward for what we did, or our performance in the local government, will be used to for the development of the people. And surely, like we have it at local government, that any ward that is performing, because we have our own mechanism and our indices that we are using to track the performances of, the involvement of the citizens of the various ward in the local government. And the one that is doing more will definitely get rewarded more from the what the government has given to the local government as a token, just to show that as an example, and then to ginger up other words, so that it will be competitive, because we believe by the time it is more competitive, it will surely make easing the work, and then the involvement will be all around the local government.
All right, you're listening to Ground Zero on Invicta 98.9 FM. We'll quickly take a commercial break, and when we come back, we will go on with our discussion. Keep the dial locked on our frequency. All right, welcome back from that commercial timeout. You're listening to Ground Zero right here on Invicta 98.9 FM. And today on Ground Zero, we have some guests talking about bringing governance to the very lowest level of governance. And we are looking at the successes, challenges, and lessons learned from the local government reforms. And my guest this evening already seated, we have Honorable Abubakar Buba, the Executive Chairman of Lere Local Government Area. Still believing that Honorable Kafra Kaino, or the Executive Chairman of Kajuru Local Government Area, will join us. And we also have the Head Leadership Governance and Advocacy of Coalition of Association for Leadership, Peace, Empowerment and Development, CAPED, with us. That's talking about Yusuf Ishaku Goje. Once again, I want to thank you for having time to be on the program this evening. All right, let's go back to where we stopped before we took the break. But this time around, I want to have Yusuf Goje coming in. You earlier talked about your impression about the whole reforms and all of that. And as a civil society person, while you mentioned part of it earlier, but for emphasis purpose, would like to know if by your own rating, yes, you talked about the level of citizens' involvement, the percentage of CDC input in the budget, and all of that, and also talking about 50% of what is it? Yes. Now, I'd like to know if with all of this, because there is something called evidence on paper, evidence unreported, and evidence felt. As a civil society person that's always on ground in touch with all of this, I'll say interfacing at some point between the citizens and the government officials. What is your own impression about these reforms, and how do you think these reforms have improved governance? Not talking about the paper, what is written on paper that we hear now, but from your interaction with the citizens.
Well, the reality is that the impression by citizens is both mixed. So you have those that are satisfied with what is happening, and you have those that are also not satisfied with what is happening. So usually that is dependent on the expectation of every citizen, which is as diverse as how we are all diverse. So everybody has his own opinion. But generally speaking, I would want to look at across the 23 local governments rather than just specifically to the local governments, even though I'll give one or two instances from the local government.
Please do.
The first part is that reforms is a process, and you don't begin to see the result or the impact of reforms in the short term. It's usually from medium to long term. That's when you get to see the benefits. And I'll give just a brief example with when Awolowo brought in the free education policy when he was the premier of Western Nigeria. Yeah. At that point, when he brought in the policy, people were even pelting him. Anywhere he went in the southeast, they were southwest. They were mocking him. They were stoning him. They were criticizing him. But today, you can see where the southwest is in terms of education. All of us have come to acknowledge that these reforms have really transformed the southwest as a people and as a region. So that is generally how reforms work. So what we need to look out for is the steps being taken, because we can't talk about impact now.
Yeah.
We have to only look at the steps being taken. Are they really pushing us towards a situation where we can have improved service delivery at the local government level? And I would say that a large part of the reforms is really taking us towards that direction. But as you have also said, reforms on paper are different from reforms in reality being implemented also. So on paper and based on the processes being put in place, I think, yes, progress is being made, even though there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of gaps. But we have also seen a situation where local governments have also taken up the challenge to put it out to their citizens, to go out and really check out if these projects are happening and come and provide feedback. And I know Lere is one of the local governments that have done. Then I also know that some of the CDC champions have called us from, I think, Sabongari, where they have said that the chairman called them and they discussed on the projects that they wanted to see implemented based on performance now.
Okay.
And they agreed, and he ensured he connected them with the contractors. They went together to follow these projects in terms of implementation. Because I can assure you, because of scarcity of funds across all local governments, not just in Kaduna, all over, you find out that no local government would be able to really give you that kind of development you want within 3 years with the kind of revenue that we presently have at the local government level. So we have some local governments that are really performing, and their people are providing feedback, even though it is not perfect, but they are saying, yes, they like the situation where before budgets are passed, they are consulted, their inputs are put into the budget, they are called to a town hall meeting to validate that these issues have been captured, and some have gone ahead to even after passing the budget to call them to say, go and track and come and give us feedback. And I remember very well, you were part of one of that town hall.
Yeah.
In Lere then.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of successes that we have seen so far. But yes, it is not what we really want to see in terms of translating into service delivery, because this issue must just be addressed. And that is the issue of revenue. Without revenue, your budget is just ink on paper. So the tax is now on local governments, the state government, to also look at what are those governance blockages that is stopping these local governments from getting their adequate funding. One is the issue of the 10% remittance. Two is the issue of collecting revenues on behalf of the local governments. And we have seen situations where there are serious issues around reconciliation and what have you, even though I have seen that progress has been made since the state government has agreed now to open up separate accounts for these local governments where their revenues will go indirectly. So we hope these are some of the reforms that will really drive it. But as we have said, we will not be satisfied until we see the work on the ground, and we see that certain outcomes. Because one reform that we have not talked about is even the local government development plan, which all 23 local governments now have in Kaduna. And in those plans, you have two critical things. The implementation strategy that tells you how citizens will participate. Then two, that's the result framework. What tells you within 3 years what each local government is supposed to achieve. So those are tools that citizens can really use to measure whether government has performed at the local government level or not. You understand? But for us, civil society, we are looking at governance systems. So we might not be looking at what is on ground only. We'll look at what are the building blocks being put in place and what are the likelihoods that if these building blocks are put into adequate use, because that's a challenge. The political will and commitment to adhere to those things is the challenge. But generally, I think there is improvement because a lot of things is changing at the local government level. What we need to see more is citizens take advantage of these platforms. Don't look at government on the basis of the party in power. look at government on the basis that they are here to provide services to you that will improve your life based on the oath that they have sworn to.
All right. Thank you so much. There's one line there that I'd like to still borrow from you, which I always tell our listeners and the citizens that if you go to sleep, government also will go to sleep. And most especially, after all the electioneering and campaign and all of that, the next thing that you need to do is to hold the government accountable. I would say politicking or partisan politics ends immediately someone is sworn in. And whoever comes in, will matter the political party that you belong to, it is your duty to deliver government to the people, and it is the people's right to also demand from you good governance. Okay, the program is Ground Zero on Invicta 98.9 FM, and since we are talking about the people, and you have both talked about how wonderfully the people are involved or participating in the community development charter. Well, from all you've said, it indicates that, yeah, the people are involved, but what level, how involved would you say the citizens are in part of the process of participating in the community development charter process? I'll come to you, Honorable Buba.
Thank you once again. Really, the people participation in the governance and the development charters is a very good one.
Okay.
Because we are making a tremendous progress in that aspect. Because I remember when we came on board during the preparatory stage of the 2019 budget in the local government, when we called the first town hall meeting, to some people it was like a magic, because they couldn't understand, is it real? Is it for sure? Not until after that, when we called the second town hall meeting, they discovered that, wow, so this is really actually, this thing can really work. At that point, they gave us, okay, yeah, maybe they are, we just hope that it's not politics that these people are doing. That was the first impression, that was given. But at later stage, when they discovered that when the budget was passed, we now call them again for a town hall meeting to explain to them so far what we are able to achieve in the budget and what is left, and then we now show them and our scorecard at that point in time, and we give it back to them, waiting for their own feedback. Yeah. So that it caught them by surprise. Is this thing real? Is it really working? So we started very well. The only thing that made us to have some little hitches was the 2020 budget implementation process. Because of the COVID-19, that slowed a lot of economic activities, which affected the revenue line of the entire world, which Kaduna State and the local government in Kaduna State are not exception. Yeah. It really affected the implementation of the 2020 budget. So that was just what slowed us down. If not for that, I'm pretty much sure what we'll be counting in Kaduna State by now would have been victory more than what we were able to see. Because I know if you make comparison to what we were able to achieve in 2019, you will see that yes, something tremendous was done. But in 2020, it was just like, okay, we've taken it, it's a will of God. We have to take it as a year of sacrifice, and we've sacrificed the year as it is. But looking forward to 2021 now, to ensure that yes, we continue hitting the ground running by people's participation and involvement in governance, and doing much more than what we are able to achieve in the past 2 years. And this is something that is in us, and will ensure that it continues.
All right, Yusuf Goje.
Yeah.
Are the citizens really involved, and what is their level of involvement in this whole process, the CDC process?
Well, I would like to also categorize the citizens into three. There are ones that care about what is happening, that there are those ones that are really nonchalant about what is happening, and you have those ones that just naturally believe that no matter how they engage, they will see no change. So definitely they don't care, they won't also want to participate. So for citizens that are really interested in the process, we have seen a lot of them actively participate. and we have worked with them, not directly, as I have said. In the 255 wards of Kaduna State, we have civil society community development champions working around this community development chapter. So they are the ones that directly work with stakeholders, traditional institutions, youth, women, persons with disability, and even minority groups within those localities, because they have been trained over the years by development partners to do that. So they are doing that. So at that level, we have seen a lot of engagements. We have seen a lot of people participate. But even at that, at the local government level, it is usually difficult for you to differentiate governance and politics.
Yeah.
So people tend to really interpret any other thing that involves government to be politics. And until we are able to also cure that issue of people thinking that well, politics is governance and governance is politics, even though you cannot divorce the two. But we must understand that governance is about development. And regardless of the party in power, development should be delivered to the people. And by virtue of the Constitution of Nigeria, it is your right to participate in governance.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to section 14(2)(c), it makes that clear that our participation is guaranteed by the Constitution in our government. He even said in our government. So it is important that we know that we have a constitutional backing to participate, regardless of the party in power. But citizens are participating. Those some are very pessimistic. When you tell them, they tell you nothing good will come out of this process. It is waste of time. And you have also those that also interpret it from political lenses. They believe all of you are just doing politics and nothing, so they won't participate. But we urge people to understand that there is really a difference between governance and politics. Politics, we should restrict it to full-time politicians, and during the elections, we can participate and vote or support who we want to support. But after then, we need to put our eyes on what comes into government as revenue and how government manages those revenue to improve our living standards. So we need to really put that in mind. But generally, if you look at it side by side with the population of Kaduna State as a whole, the number is insignificant of people participating. But for the fact that it is a process, at a point in time it wasn't happening, but now it has started happening. We've seen people become more conscious about governance. I think more information is available online, offline. I think people should take the advantage to really demand for the kind of service delivery that will improve their lives.
All right. Okay. We've been listening to all of this that has to do with citizens' participation and also the reforms at the local government area. And now it's about time that I ask you, and of course, for those community development charter champions that are listening in, it's about time we get some real-time feedback from you as we open up our phone lines to the general public to call in and make their contributions and ask their questions on the program Ground Zero. The numbers to dial is 081 40,000 989. That's 081 40,000 989. And the second number is 070 87 800 989. We have our first caller this evening. Let's find out who our first caller is. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero. Hello. Hello. Hello, good evening. Okay, let's see. It's not going through. Let's get to listen to another person. 081 40,000 989 and 07087800989 are the numbers to dial to add your voice to our conversation this evening. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero. Okay. I think these lines are acting up. 081 40,000 989 and 07087 800 989. You can also go to our various social media platform to ask your questions. On Facebook is Invicta FM Kaduna. Invicta FM Kaduna. you can drop your question or comments there. We will definitely use it on the program. Let's see if we can answer some calls. Hello.
Hello, Mr. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Thank you very much. My name is Musa Balan. I'm greeting your guest in the studio.
All right, Musa Bala, you are welcome to the program.
So, they have really explained and educated us Nigerians about the level of reforms that the governor of Kaduna State, his team, and the able leadership at our various local government have been bagging on. I would like also to commend various NGOs and CSO for their they always ensure that the government are doing the right thing, or rather, and I always want to encourage them. We would like to see this activity be extended to other states. I always commend them for what we call actual transformation. Unlike other local government, that every day they keep talking, and no reform is going. Some states cannot even hold election for the past 10, 15 years. I think these NGOs are necessary to ensure that these reforms have extended to this organization. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Musa Bala. He wants this extended to other states and other places, and also wants the NGO CSOs to continue to hold the government accountable, while also commending the government for even creating a platform where the citizens can be involved in the process. 081 40,000 989 and 070 87 800 9889 are the numbers to dial. Hello, good evening, welcome to Ground Zero. Hello.
And the guest at the studio.
Yes, Comrade Gabriel.
Thank His Excellency for the reform. But what we want to say that we have been having reform, are this local government really independent? Because there has been clamour that the local government, the funds should go directly to them, so I let them be able to utilize it for the benefit of the people. Because I think the local government are under pressure, because most of us live in local government and we are looking to them for better development. Are they really independent?
Okay.
Giving this fund directly for them to make sure that they implement it for the benefit of the people? If so, I think the fund is good. But if not, sir, I think we will still have a long way to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. So, Honorable Buba, you are here. Comrade Gabriel wants to know if are the local governments really independent?
Well, thank you so much, comrade. If you talk of independence, are you talking about independence financially or what? If it is financial independence, Kaduna State local government are financially independent because our grant comes to us directly. The only challenge we have is like what Yusuf Goja said, we need to do more on our internally generated revenue, because that will be the only way that we can sustain what we are getting from the federation account to the 23 local government in the state. Because what we are getting from the federation account now can barely pay salaries of our wage bills of the local governments. Because for instance, if I will give you an example, we have more than almost 10 or 11 local governments that at the moment sometimes they will not be able to pay their salaries from what we are getting from the federation account. For the simple reason, Kaduna State is paying the minimum wage, and we have good number of good quality teachers in the state, which, if you take quality teachers, you must pay them well. Yeah. So that's not something we are regretting, because if we are empowering the human capacity, building is something that what's going. So really, in terms of that, we will say that yes, we are okay. But like I said, what we need to do more is to ensure that we block all the leakages of the internally generated revenue in the various local government in the state. With this, we'll be able to have something extra that will lead to physical development for people to see. I'm pretty much sure his question come as a result of everybody wants to see physical development projects that local government are being implementing. But with what we are having from the federation accounts going into the coffers of the various local governments now, it's more of goes for the payment of salaries and allowances in the various local governments at the moment.
All right. Guys, we are really running out of time, so I'll just take a parting shot from Yusuf Goji and I'll come to Honorable Buba. Yusuf Goji, what would be your parting shot on the program this evening?
Well, just to say, the comrade talked about the autonomy. I think the only way we can ensure full autonomy for local governments is when we citizens participate in the process. No matter what you say, once you don't participate, you create a vacuum. So, and it is that vacuum that when you create that, other powerful forces can actually take advantage and not allow local government chairmen to really implement those projects that you want. So it is important that all these reforms, we are not saying them because we want to praise government, we are saying them because these are opportunities presented to citizens to begin to ask those questions that you ask on radio. Now you have opportunities to go directly to your local governments and ask those questions. When you don't get answers, you can blow the whistle and all that. So it is improving on the system, and we must also commend local governments that have bought into these reforms. And that is why we wanted to bring also Jamal local government, Kajuru and Lere, because based on civil society assessment, these are local government chairmen that have stood out in deepening some of these reforms at the local government level. So it is left for citizens now. The ball is in our court to begin to ask questions. It's better to go and knock, and when the door is not open, then you go and open, then you complain, than to sit down and just assume that it will not be open. Thank you.
All right. I'm hoping that Honorable Abubakar Buba would be able to give us a parting shot in 1 minute.
Yes, I will try.
All right, please.
Just like what Yusuf Goja said, you know, the engagement of the citizen is very important here. All this question will be answered if the citizens are really engaged in what is happening in the governance. You know, everything now is on air, everything is online. You can easily Google or find out how much your local government received in a particular month, because nothing is hidden anymore in terms of all these informations are there in the various online medias. So if people really participate, they ask questions, you see that your local government receives so amount, then you find out how much is the wage bill of the local government as well. From there, you can be able to do your simple mathematics. And with that, you can now engage the local government and start asking, okay, what do we now do in order to improve on the revenue generation of the local government so that we can have free funds to do other activities that will translate to physical infrastructure for people to see. So my call and appeal to citizens is, please let's give this government a chance, and let's ensure that we engage the government and involve ourselves in what governance is all about. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. But meanwhile, just before we just immediately past the halfway mark, Honorable Kafra Kaino sent his apologies, which we have accepted because he was really engaged, and apart from that, I would say we were almost railroading him into this program. Sincerely, we accept your apologies, believing that very soon in another edition of the program, you'd also be here to talk to us. Well, this is about the size of the program today. Next week, Tuesday, 5 to 6, will be another time out on the program, Ground Zero. But before I go, I say a very big thank you to Yusuf Goji of Carpet for having time to be on Ground Zero.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And Honorable Abubakar Buba, the Executive Chairman, Lere Local Government Area, for having time to be on Ground Zero today.
Thank you for having me as well.
As his admiral, like always I'll say, plant a tree today, water it and watch it grow. Before you claim right of way, make sure you are safe and not sorry. I'm the peacemaker with a passion for crowd satisfaction.